Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Welcome, one and all. I'm ever so grateful that you have joined me today on another beautiful day on our magical planet. I really love being here on this earth. And I know that might sound a little crazy, but I am really enjoying the opportunity to learn about how powerful I am. And unfortunately for myself, I often learn that in really difficult ways. I learn that I can make a complete shitstorm out of my life and out of my mental and emotional world, or I cannot, and it's totally up to me. And when I make that storm, it's of my own doing and because of my own innate power. And so finally, once I'm in the storm, I realize what I'm doing to myself. And then I also realize that I have the power to undo it. And that is such an amazing gift that we have, our innate power to do and create whatever we want for ourselves. And one of my favorite things about difficult times is that it teaches us how to use our magic. When we have really, really strong emotions and we see what we can create for ourselves, we can also realize that that power is within us, and that is so intensely magical. And the way that magic works is with intensity, emotion, feeling. And when we have these really difficult times, we really get to learn it. And I also think it's so important for us to really make sure that we check ourselves when we're going through these powerfully intense and emotional times, because we got to be careful with what we are creating, with what we are thinking, with what we are saying. Because when we are feeling from such an intense emotional place, we have the ability to create more intensely, more powerfully, because that's just the physics of it, I guess, if you want to call it that. But that's just the way it works. It's like equal and opposite. So when we have these moments of super intense emotions, when life gets really, really hard, it's also really easy to let ourselves spiral and get depressed and make it worse on ourselves and let our brains keep telling us that story and beating us up if we allow it. And so recently, I have been doing this to myself and have had to remind myself to stop it. And the way that I do that is forcing myself to get back into my meditation practice. And since I've been doing that, it is a game changer. And I know this. I've been through this so many different times in my life, but I have this type of personality where, oh, I'm good now. I don't need to do this all the time. Wrong. We need to do this all the time. Meditation is an absolute requirement, because if we want to learn how to work with the power within us, the power of our minds, the power of our hearts, we have to learn to work with the subtleties of all of that. And in order to work with the subtleties, we have to get really quiet. And that's meditation. Going really quiet and really still as much as you can, or concentrating on things and visualizing things until you can get to a place of more stillness. But by doing this, by practicing and by going within and paying attention to all these little subtleties, the ones in your mind, the ones in your body, the ones that you feel, this is how we really learn to harness our power. And it also helps when we're going through these difficult times to not spiral us down as far as we could have without it. Without meditation, I can see myself just spiraling and spiraling and spiraling because I am not allowing my mind the time to be quiet and still and to focus on the subtleties of my inner wisdom. Because if I'm not sitting in that quiet stillness, then I don't often hear it, or I don't hear it as loudly. And that's the biggest thing for me, is I don't hear it as loudly. When I'm hearing it in conscious, everyday, waking life, it's way easier for me to fight it, to ignore it, or to tell a different story and just say, no, it's this because, and reason it out. Consciously, always wrong. Always wrong. The conscious mind lies, is wrong, is stupid, is not your best friend. But your higher self, your subconscious, your intuition is your best friend, never lying to you. And the best way to understand it and get in touch with it is to be still, to be quiet, to go within. It is, in my opinion, the only workaround to mental anguish of any sort. I remember the first time, one of the first times in my life where I was really going through a ton of mental anguish, and I just did not know what to do. I just felt awful. And what I really felt guided to was to just sit quietly with nobody around and breathe. And that was how I knew that I needed to meditate. And I know that if this is true for me as a human, that it's a human thing, that this is something that we all need to do. And I also know this because literally almost every single person, every single client that I see, their higher self is always telling them they must meditate. An absolute requirement. They want us to be so still right now and go so slow and let it all go. None of it matters. If something happened to you 30 minutes ago, well, that's harder. If something happened to you 2 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, it's time to let it go. Right now. There is no reason to carry this forward. You're not serving a purpose with it. You're not helping anyone. You are only hurting yourself, carrying this baggage, this torment, this energetic dishevelment through. Instead, what we can do with all of this that we are so stuck in sometimes in our lives because we have not been sitting still and not paying attention to the subtleties and letting our conscious mind just run a complete muck with us, that we listen to that story, we believe that story because that's the story that we've been telling ourselves. And it's not true. Instead, we can take that time to be still, to be quiet, to go within, and to really tap in to your heart center. And feel what an amazing being of love and light that you are. Because when you sit in the stillness, you will feel it. You will see it. You will understand it. Eventually, with enough practice, these things come. And it's undeniable when you are feeling these intense energies. For example, the other day, I sat down, and I've been in a stressy mess, I'll call it lately, just stressed. And I feel like a big part of it is obviously myself. And then it's compounded with the world and what's happening in the world. And I pick up very easily on the collective. And so that has, heightened it a bit. And so with that kind of, made my glass tip over. I feel like I had to force myself. It's like having to force yourself to go to the gym for the first time or start eating spinach if you don't want to eat vegetables. You really have to force yourself to do it because you know it's good for you and you know you're going to like it once you do it. But for me, I have a ton of resistance to doing things that are good for me sometimes because I get in that conscious mind of, I got this, I can do it. And no, I don't need to do this because blah, blah, blah. No, wrong. And so I forced myself. This time I was like, all right, enough with you, conscious mind. And I sat in meditation, and the first thing that came to me was this beautiful pink iridescent light. And what this light was showing me and telling me is that with loving gratitude, all of this stress, everything you're worried about in life can just fizzle away. Because when you can sit in loving gratitude for all of the things that you are grateful for and how much you love those things, it changes the entire game. And so sitting in meditation, allowing the energy of loving gratitude with every single breath to fill each and every cell of my body. And then as I breathe out, to give loving gratitude to the whole, to the entire planet, because that is the energy that we all need right now, that we all need to live from and to work from and to see each other in. Loving gratitude. It is such, if I wish I could explain it better, what I see in my mind's eye, but it's like this crystalline, beautiful, pink, iridescent crystal. And its energy is total, complete, loving gratitude. And that energy just took all my woes, my worries, my stresses, and was like, none of it matters. Look at all of these amazing things that you have, that you can be grateful for. It absolutely changes the entire energy of your day, the entire energy of your mind. When you can even do this for 10 minutes every single day. Something similar. Whatever energy you want to run, even if it's love, if it's peace, if it's compassion, joy. And when I say run energies, do that exact thing that I just said, is breathe that energy with that intention in your mind, thinking about love or peace or compassion, gratitude, and breathing it in through each and every breath. Allow it to go into every single cell of your body, and then feel it. And pay attention to how your body feels and what comes up in your mind. It's all important. And it's also incredibly important that we all have these practices. And I can say this because I know the difference between doing it and not doing it. I swear to you, doing it is like life is a cakewalk. The response to anything that can come at you in life is different. It's more even-keeled. It's more balanced. It comes from a perspective of calm, a perspective of stillness, of loving gratitude and compassion even. When I'm not meditating, instead what happens is stress, reaction, irritation, what have you, you name it, anger, all of those things are way easier to bubble up when I'm not meditating. And so this is my public service announcement to everyone listening. It is absolutely imperative that we are all meditating right now. if not just for ourselves, for the entire collective. Because our single little drop of water that we are, our speck of crystalline light that we are, is part of a whole that works together in unison at all times. And so if your speck isn't as clear as it could be, isn't as balanced as it could be, then the whole isn't as balanced and as clear as it could be. And so I think that this is our responsibility, not only to ourselves, but to one another. Because, too, you know what happens when you're meditating like this and you have relationships in your life that are difficult and you've been reactive to or triggered by, because how often does that happen? Because it's supposed to. We're learning from these relationships. These triggers are exactly the places where we need to look within and ask ourselves, why? Why is this triggering me? And when you're meditating, that's a whole lot easier. And what also happens is that you get to understand this trigger, understand yourself, and then when you do that, no more trigger. And then maybe this relationship can be easier. And maybe you can see each other from more of a place of loving gratitude for teaching each other these amazing lessons that your soul needed to learn. But it was really hard to get there because relationships, not easy, because they're triggering us. They're showing us our mirror of ourselves, of the things that bother us the most, so that we can figure that out and what that is within me. It's never about that person or even how that person is acting or what that exact thing that person said or what they're anything about that. It's what it's doing to you inside. And that's the part that needs the examination. And that's the part that you can look into the other areas of your life and say, where do I see this? Where's the pattern here? It'll help figure it out a little bit. And again, going back to meditation, it makes this a lot easier to figure out because when you're in this place of stillness, you can ask the questions. And the answers are more clear because you're still, because you've quieted that Mr. Stupid conscious mind over there that's always telling you the wrong thing. I love you guys. I think that's it for me today. Of course, I'll talk more about meditation. I love to talk about meditation. There are previous episodes where I go into more how to meditate and some simple, easy tips that you can go and search, and I'm sure you will find them there. I know there's a slew of them, and I can't even tell you where they are or what numbers they are. But that's it for me today. I'm going to leave you with a song. This is Alienario. Take it slow. Until next time, I love you all.
Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.
Take it slow. Don't get in your way. Keep it moving. At the pace of every weather, look within. And don't forget you are surrounded by the wind as it rushes in your lungs. Oh, honey, you are part of the moon, precious cave. Don't forget there is unknown inside you. Don't turn away from yourself by being like somebody else. You are tide crashing over and call of the mountains and your darkest tunnels, or where your light comes from. So take it slow. What you long for is on its way, and don't stop reaching. Taste the sound of every color deep within. Let your wild bee uncaged run with the wind and rush into its lungs. Oh, honey, you are born of the moon, precious cave. Don't forget there is unknown inside you. Don't turn away from yourself by being like somebody else. You are tide crashing over and call of the mountains and your darkest tunnels. Where your light come from, oh, aim for the journey and grow with the night. Be brave in your loving, keep steady your side. Oh, honey, you are born of the moon, precious cave. Don't forget there is unknown inside you. Don't turn away from yourself by being like somebody else. Don't turn away from yourself by being like somebody else. Don't turn away. Don't turn away. Don't turn away. Don't turn away. You are tide crashing over and call of the mountains and your darkest tunnels, where your light comes